Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Jeannie. I am a 6'2", self-projected projector. I have a defined head, ajna, throat, and G-center, and they're all connected straight down the middle channels, which are all part of individual circuitry, thus making me a pure individual. It's been a minute since I filmed, but today I think it's going to be just a quick little video because I've been wanting to create this one for a while now, and I just keep on putting it off. I kind of went into this not feeling like creating content, but now I feel like I'm starting to get that desire again to film. So today I'm going to talk about the channel of initiation, which is the 2551. And I've normally, content I've already created, it's been about channels that I have because I feel like I have more experience with that. I kind of know what that's like. I decided that I wanted to talk about this one because I have a friend who has this channel, and as we are having these several conversations throughout this period of time, I realized how very naturally when they talked, this word kept coming up, and the word was competition, competitive. And now for me personally, because I'm so sensitive to my environment, a while ago I just kind of decided that I was not available for that anymore because it was just getting to the point where I could not, it was just too much. I could not handle it or manage it in a way that was healthy. So I just decided, no, I have to completely calm my energy towards me and not feel what other people are feeling, or not pick up on so much if there's no invitation, if there's no recognition, set more boundaries, stricter boundaries for my sanity and health. So with this friend in particular, I wasn't really picking up on this vibe of competitiveness. And it could be because for me personally, I'm not very competitive. There are certain people, I can think of one guy that whenever I'm around this person, I really feel the competitive vibe come up, which is interesting because I don't feel it with my friend, and I feel like I'm way closer to her than with the guy. So I don't know if it's because, there could be several reasons. I'm not going to get into it, but it was something about when she said this word, because she was, I'm going to talk about that in a little while, that caught my attention, and I felt like there was something there. And as I started to pay more attention to it, I was able to see how, because sometimes I watch her girls. She's got two little girls. One of them is a projector, and one of them is a Manny Gen. And I would notice, once I started seeing that theme of competition come up, the last time I watched her girls, and when she came back and walked into the room, I felt the energy of the room shift. And I say felt, but I didn't feel it in my body like I have in the past. It's more like I observed how the energy shifted by how the girls changed their behavior the moment their mom walked in. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. It's kind of like getting a close-up front seat to the mechanics of, human design and how it works. And as we kept, or it wasn't even that we were focused on human design, but there were things that she had mentioned during conversations, including on that day, that I was able to see, okay, there's something here, there's something going on here. So when I got home, I looked up her chart, and I felt called to go look at the ego center, and she does have a defined ego. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is where it's coming from. So this is why, gate 61, this is why we're talking about this channel of initiation. These are people whose life is like a series of leaps into the unknown. They're born with the spirit of the warrior. They're here to learn to walk their path on their own. And kind of they're encouraged to leap when the need calls and worry about the consequences afterwards. Personally, that's not my vibe. I don't know. This is why I say you just have to know something to think so that you know what to do about it. Follow strategy and authority to decide whether or not to take the leap. But it does have this keynote of leaping into the void, leaping into the unknown. I don't have a defined ego center, so maybe that's why I'm like, whoa, hold on, let's think about this. But that's probably not your vibe if you do have this channel. Okay, if you have this whole channel, these are people who are deeply competitive. By going into new arenas and stretching themselves beyond their normal limits, shocking themselves and others, they're here to feel the wonder of their own unique spirit. They can tend to like to test the limits of their endurance and can end up transcending their own sense of power into a totally fresh, even mystical experience of themselves. These are people who can initiate others into doing things that they wouldn't normally do. They love to be the first to enter a new arena and carry a powerful design in the business world, where they empower organizations through their individual flair and gutsy approach to getting what they want. I might do a part 2 to this video because, again, I wanted to film it, but I hadn't necessarily planned to film it today, so there might be a second part to this where I do slightly different perspective, because this is only one source of material, and I didn't look at the other one, and I really do want to do that. But anyways, one of the main themes in this channel is competition, being really competitive. This piece isn't necessarily mentioned in this source, but I do remember reading how these are people who can develop heart issues, because if they're out of alignment in the sense of they're being competitive out of the wrong reasons, or they're not following their strategy and authority in order to decide whether or not to be competitive, this can really strain the heart. And this is another reason why I really wanted to talk about this, because as I was having this conversation with my friend, this is why I like creating content on stuff that I have more like a first-hand experience with than just by like what source material says, or what other sources say, because I can see, like, I feel like this is maybe, even if you watch my other videos, you'll hear me saying this a lot, where they kind of say like, this is just the way it is and that's it. I disagree with that. So I'm not your traditional, I don't take a traditional approach to human design. I like to tweak things. One of the things you might hear me say a lot, like I've already mentioned before, you just need to know something's a thing so that you know what to do about it. So if you have this channel, one of the most important things I would invite you to keep in mind, especially if this is a very prominent channel for you, take a look if it shows up at a conscious or unconscious level, is really leaning on strategy and authority to decide when and when not to be competitive, so that you don't strain your physical heart. And then you could see different types of issues, from palpitations, murmurs, heart attacks in the very extreme cases, heart disease, things like that. So this is one of the reasons why I still like, even though I have my issues with human design and the way it's explained sometimes, I still like studying it and reading it about these channels, and I find it's been a process that has happened very naturally for me. It's like, oh, I'll get the nudge to go look at this channel, like, oh, okay, I see what's happening in, for example, my friend's case. So just be aware of that, so that you can, protect your physical heart, your spiritual heart. And another thing that I wanted to mention about this channel, it's like how I see it play out in my friend. Like, as we were talking, we were going into like family dynamics, and she has siblings, and she mentioned like there were several stories where this theme of competition came up again and again. We weren't even talking about human design. She was just sharing her experience of like growing up in her family, and what it was like for her and her siblings, where there was almost kind of like an animosity that she felt from her siblings, because they kind of like felt, how can I explain this? It's like, this is such a big energy for her. Like, it really is a really big energy for her, because again, I personally wasn't picking up on it because, again, I'm not a competitive person, but I feel like if you do have a bit of competitive spirit within you, being around someone like, for example, my friend, draws that out of you. So this was what happened as she was growing up. Like, her siblings, there was like a lot of rivalry, a lot of competition, a lot of like both of her siblings like kind of ganging up against her and kind of like saying, well, you always had it this way, and our parents, did this, and you got this, and you got that. A lot of, again, that competitive spirit. But it wasn't just her. Again, she was kind of like drawing this energy out of, her siblings. And then again, like, well, I don't have access to their charts, but it could be that they had hanging gates or not, or it could just be, because I think her sister's not a projector, because I would feel like maybe as a projector it would be easier to kind of like absorb that competitive spirit and display it even if you don't have that channel defined. But as I'm observing how she interacts with her girls and like what happened when she came back from you know that day that I was babysitting the girls, how their energy shifted, like something shifted within the girls and they started acting differently. And I have noticed that whenever the mom's around and the girls are there and I'm there, the girls kind of behave differently. There's more competition, there's a little bit more bickering, there's a little bit more arguing. And I find that when it's just me and the girls, it's more of a peaceful environment. Like, everyone's pretty much getting along. Like, there is no competitive spirit whatsoever. So I thought that was very, very interesting. So if you do have this channel, I would invite you to kind of take a look into, your childhood. You had siblings or the people around you. Like, did you notice that you brought out that competitiveness in them? And I'm just a really huge proponent that because it depends on, how one, like, okay, most of us aren't taught about human design, right? So most of us probably haven't been following our strategy and authority for most of our lives. Like, if you have kids and you've learned about this, you can start teaching them at an earlier age, and that in itself could be a huge benefit. But if we're just recently starting to experiment and play with our strategy and authority, chances are that we we've been out of alignment, in many ways. But take a look and see how, this energy has played out in your life. And again, as I kind of went off on a tangent because I forgot what I was saying. But I totally feel like you can dial down the energy of this channel by remembering to follow your strategy and authority. I feel like not a lot of people talk about this. For me as a projector, again, like I mentioned before, being so sensitive, I felt like I had to completely shut myself off to the energy of the day because it was just, I felt it so much to the point where I couldn't sometimes get out of bed because it was so intense. I was feeling everything, like at the collective level. And I still think this is possible because, like, I do it. I haven't made it up, It's that, like, I decided to unplug from the collective, and that may be, like, a very pure individual thing to do. And you have to, like, okay, I'm not gonna, if you're interested more in learning how to do that, you can reach out and book a session and I can teach you how to do that. But, you can definitely play with the energetics of the channels that you do have and kind of like turn down the dial or turn up the dial as you see fit. I feel like many times the way the information is presented is like, this is the channel and, or for example, fifth lines. I love fifth lines, but I feel like they don't have to suffer as much as many of them do because of this projection field can be very intense for them. I'm aligned too. I also have experienced the projection field, but once I realized what it was and, kind of designed a way to be able to tweak that, the type of like projection or the times that I've experienced the projection field now has definitely drastically decreased as opposed to before. So that's just my little take on that. If you're interested in learning more, again, like, I would love to teach you so that you can learn and play with it and experiment with it. But that is basically the gist of this video, that theme of competitiveness, not only in yourself, but see if you're drawing it out in others, how much you're drawing it out, and keeping in mind to follow strategy and authority so that you protect your physical heart as well as your, figurative, spiritual, all that. The heart in all the senses. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have enjoyed it, please feel free to like it, subscribe if you're interested in getting notified when more content comes out. If you would like more information on different ways of working with me, you can find that on my website and also on my Instagram. On Instagram, I invite you to follow along. If I invite you to go look for me there. Sorry. Channel structuring. If you'd like to follow along on my journey, my handle is @JamieSalcedo. My brain's kind of thinking, it's getting dark, you gotta hurry up, wrap this up. Channel of awareness. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, questions, stories you'd like to share, feel free to comment down below. Otherwise, I will see you next time.